Hi everybody, today's takeaway recipe is a simple but super tasty butter chicken. Hi everybody, I'm Derek from Cook It Yourself, and today we're going to make you a butter chicken. We're going to show you how to make a butter chicken. We're going to show you how to create flavours in that curry, and we've simplified it for you. So we've taken away all the base gravies that you've got to pre-make. We've taken away the marination of the chicken, which you've got to pre-make and leave overnight. So we've taken all that away, but you'll still find that this is one hell of a dish. My wife absolutely loves this. The kids love it. If I was to say to them, do you want to order takeout or do you want me to make you a butter chicken? Hands down, they would say, make me a butter chicken. So I'm going to show you how we do it. Hopefully you'll follow it through and watch the techniques that I try and show you while I'm creating flavour in this curry. So let's crack on. Alright, so the first thing you need is a good pan. I always use a stick pan. You can use a non-stick pan if you want, but stick pans are better for caramelisation on the bottom of the pan. Oil wise, I always use butter ghee for my curries, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea to have lots of butter, but this is a butter chicken, so if you can get some butter ghee, use butter ghee. If not, vegetable oil, sunflower oil will be fine. So you want quarter of a cup of oil, 60 grams. And then flame on low to medium. Okay, so we want to flavour this oil first. And what we do, we use whole spices. So first, star anise, pop one of them in. That'll give you a nice base flavour of aniseed. Then you want some cloves. I chuck about 2 cloves in. 1 per portion really, you could say. Next, you want some green cardamom. And what you need to do with these cardamom pods, let's see if we can show you on the camera there, is you want to just break them, just ever so slightly. You've got to be really careful. I just put a knife inside them. Add them to your pan. And that'll flavour the oil now. Okay, next you want to get yourself a nice smallish onion, medium size. Let's see what size this is. So that's 210 grams. Obviously once it's peeled it's going to be less. So a good technique for dicing an onion, we want to dice this onion. So we just take the bottom off. And then once you take the bottom off, before you skin it, just cut it right down the middle. And then peel the skin off, the outer layer. Get rid of this. Well, the technique I use for dicing my onions, pretty similar. You want a really sharp knife, root at the top. And all we're doing is just slicing down, and then you turn it and you dice. Same with the other one. So you're looking for about a total of 160 grams of diced onion. The onion straight into the oil, get them all coated. Remember we're on a medium to low, so I'll take that down a little bit. Now we're going to spend about 5 minutes slowly reducing these onions, getting them translucent and a little bit mushy. While we're doing that, we'll crack on with chopping the chicken. For the chicken we want about 400 grams of chicken. Okay, so we're going to slice this up. Now we're going to cut this up into small pieces. If you cook your chicken, keep an eye on the onions all the time. If you're pre-cooking your chicken, you can make them nice and big, but if you're cooking it actually in your curry fresh, you want nice small bite-sized pieces. So chicken, wash your knife. Wash your hands. And the onions are reducing nicely. They're a little bit hot. I've got a couple of little ones overcooking a little bit, but it's not a problem. We've not burnt them, so that's good. Now before we add the chicken, we need to add some salt and pepper. Don't be shy on the salt and pepper, especially with the salt. The salt is going to pull all the moisture out of the onions, and that makes them so much easier to caramelise. Bit of pepper. I've just ground up some peppercorns. Coarse black pepper is the best to use, I think, but if you're not into the little bits in your curry, then you can use just curry powder. It's not a problem. Quick mix. And then in with your chicken. So what you want to do now is sear all your chicken all the way around, so just keep moving it about, turning it over when you can. And this will keep all the juices inside the chicken. Again, you don't want to cook too fast, you don't want to burn these onions. And while that's cooking, let's prep our garlic and ginger. What I use for my garlic and ginger, I always use fresh garlic, I always use fresh ginger, and I just use a box grater, the finest setting you've got. And then we've got about a 1 inch to 1.5 inch piece of ginger. No need to peel it, just grate it. Once your ginger done, there's about a tablespoon, just over a tablespoon of ginger there. When it's garlic time, I just get a bowl, push it down, maybe take probably 5 will do. 5 cloves of garlic, just start, you don't need to peel these, just grate them. Watch your fingers, obviously. Again, a tablespoon of garlic. Now you'll start to notice your onions going a little bit mushy, and that's what you want. We're trying to turn these onions into a paste. And the more you reduce these onions and caramelise these onions, the more mushier they get, but the more sweet, intense flavour. You'll get an umami flavour. Don't know if you've heard of the word umami, but it's a really intense flavour. And it's that caramelisation and that umami flavour that creates an intense flavour in a curry. And once you master that, there ain't no going back to takeouts or curry houses for birthdays. They're great, don't get me wrong, but this is on another level. Right, so the chicken's all, there's no pink bits in the chicken. Obviously it's not cooked yet, but we've got a long way to go. Your chicken will be thoroughly cooked by the end of this, but it'll also be thoroughly juicy, which is what you want. Right, so garlic in. And you'll notice with fresh garlic and fresh ginger, not as much sizzle as if you use the paste out of the jars, or if you use the frozen blocks. It's something I've tried, and I don't seem to get any flavour out of them. I'd have to add far too much, and this is just so easy to do. Why would you not? Unless you don't do much cooking at home, then fair enough. Jars are an easy way of storage or freezer. But if you're cooking daily like we do, then we've always got some garlic, we've always got some ginger in the house. Oh, and when it hits the pan, it's just phenomenal. I love the smell of garlic and ginger when it's cooking. And onions. Together it's heaven. Okay, so the onions are really getting mushy now, which means they're pretty much there. Let's move on to the spices. So the initial spices are, we use a mixed powder. We make this ourselves. The recipe is on our YouTube channel. If you want to find it and make yourself some mixed powder, you can use it on all curries, not just this one. If you don't want to make your own, because I did say it's a simple and easy dish to make, you can just buy some mild curry powder. From any supermarket will sell mild curry powder. Make sure it's mild. You can't take heat out of a curry. So if it's mild, it's not going to be too hot for you. So a standard teaspoon, you want not a super heat, but just a rounded heat. And you just want to spread it out all over your chicken. Just 1 teaspoon. Same again with tandoori masala powder. Again, heat, but not too heat. Sprinkle it all around. Next, you want a little bit of heat in this, not too much. So we use Kashmiri chili powder. Kashmiri chili powder is the mild heat of the curry world. Chili powder is hot. Extra hot chili powder speaks for itself. Kashmiri chili powder is a milder version of your standard chili powder. So you want sort of half a teaspoon, again rounded, but if you don't like any heat at all, you can leave this out. But I just think it adds so much more flavour to your curry. And what you'll notice now is the curry will start to get quite thick. This paste will become thicker and thicker, and it will start sticking to the bottom of the pan. And this is where you've got to be really careful. You want it to stick to the bottom of the pan, but you don't want it to burn. So you give it a nice little mix. Leave it for 30 seconds, let it catch on the bottom of the pan, and then you're scraping it back in. But again, you don't want to let it burn. If you let it burn, your curry will go bitter. If it's slightly bitter, you might be able to rescue it with a little bit of extra sugar. But if it goes too bitter, it's game over, I'm afraid. Now, I always boil a kettle before I start making any curry, so that if I feel it's starting to stick too much at the bottom of the pan, or the curry's getting a bit too dry. So this is sticking beautifully on the bottom of this pan. And all you do is you just scrape it off the bottom, give it a mix round, and it's just flavour. It's just pure flavour that you're just dragging back into the curry. Right, so now we can add just a little bit of water, just to drag the. It's called the fond. The fond is the sticky bit on the bottom of your pan. And what this boiling water will do, you don't want a lot, a little bit at a time. It'll just help you to deglaze the bottom of the pan. I don't know if you can see that now, but it's all completely come off the bottom of the pan. The spices are now starting to smell like curry now, so you know that your spices are now roasted. Next ingredient is concentrated tomato paste. I call it paste, but for some reason this jar is called puree. and I know a lot of the guys on the forums call it puree, but I've always called it paste. I've always thought a puree is something that's pureed, and a paste is something that's concentrated, so it's reduced and brought down to an intense flavour, which is what this is basically. You can get this in tubes. You must have seen it in tubes, but I buy it in jars because I use quite a lot of it. We have a lot of spag balls and a lot of chili con carnes and stuff like that, and lots of curry, so we can buy it in jars because it gets used up basically. So a good heaped dessert spoon, straight in. Now your curry will start going quite dry with this in, and you want to try and cook the rawness of this tomato paste or puree, whatever you want to call it. A couple of minutes cooking that. If you feel it's getting a bit dry, again, just a little drizzle of water around the edge. As your curry gets wetter, you can start adding more heat to it, which will caramelise better. You're still caramelising these onions, you're still creating flavour from the bottom of the pan, bringing it up to the top. But obviously, as you add more liquid, it actually goes cooler because you're coming away from a majority of oil. Oil very hot, water not so hot, 100 degrees. So as you add more liquid to it, it becomes cooler, which in turn means you can crank the heat up a bit and start cooking it a bit faster. Right, you can use fresh tomatoes or you can use Italian chopped tomatoes. It's totally up to you. If you're going to use fresh tomatoes, you want probably 2, maybe 3. Dice them up nicely, throw them in your curry. If you're using chopped, I use half a cup, which is 125 grams, but I fill it full, so you're probably looking at about 150 grams of Italian chopped tomatoes. About that much. Mix that in, cook it down. Still got plenty of foam there, you can see. Add a bit more water to it now. All this scraping on the side is all flavour. Don't leave it there. So let's start turning this now into a butter chicken. First thing we want to do is put a little bit of lemon in it. You want half a medium-sized lemon, a light squeeze of half a lemon. As you can see, there's plenty of juice left in there. So we put a bit of tart in there, a little bit of sourness. Next we want to put a little bit of sugar in. So we're adding some demerara sugar, also known as jaggery. Brown sugar is just as good. This is a 2-portion dish, so we put 2 teaspoons in. Starting to get a little bit dry again. Don't be afraid to add water. Remember, you can always reduce that water back down again and get the consistency that you want. By putting water in, you're cooling it a little bit and preventing it from burning. There's also the argument that the more water you put in, the longer you can cook it for. And the longer you cook a curry, the more intense the flavours become. Next thing is methi leaves. They're called methi leaves or dried fenugreek leaves. Again, most supermarkets do them, but if you're struggling, either online, get them online, or find the nearest Asian shop. We have one in Warrington, just up the road from us, and I regularly go there and just I buy in bulk basically. So a really good generous pinch of methi leaves, and then what we do next is a good pinch of garam masala. Garam masala is a really nice finishing spice. Just finishes off a curry really nicely. So a nice pinch of that. Give it a mix. Make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Any of that dry curry on the side. Scrape it back in. It's all flavour. So we turn the heat down now. Next ingredient is the obvious butter. And then you can put as much or as little as you want in. But if you want to butter chicken, you go for at least 50 grams. So 125, half of that, so about there. Right in with the butter. Heat is down. We're now going to melt this butter into the curry. So that curry is pretty much ready. We've just got to add some nice cream. I use double cream. You can use single cream if you want to, but double cream just brings out the richness in it. I mean, this is this is a very rich. It's a non-diet curry. This is not a curry for dieters. Simple as that. It's very indulgent. The flavours so intense. I mean, if you are on a diet, have a very small portion. You know, make this go 5 to feed 5 people. But yeah, we use double cream. We've got butter ghee in there. We've got butter in there. We've got chicken in there. The fat from the chicken as well. This is full of flavour. Okay, so we want 70 grams minimum of double cream. And what I do is I just weigh the jar, 212, so if I drop that down to 130 grams, I'll have 82 grams of cream. So saves getting a dish out and weighing it all out. And I must say, turn the heat off before you put it in. You'll get away with it if you haven't turned the heat off. It was on low anyway, but you don't want the cream to split. So I always turn the heat off. I didn't then because I was too busy talking. But we've got away with it. It's not split. It's fine. Where are we up to? So another 40 grams, 40 mil. Another 10 mil. There we go. So I've got 80 millilitres of cream in this curry. So once you've done that, heat back on. Nice and low. And that's pretty much it. That's your buttered chicken done. So what you can do now if you want to is start trying to find all the whole spices, your star anise, your cloves and your cardamom pods, and fish them out. It's quite easy to find the star anise. There it is, sat on the top. They say if you leave it to bubble for about 2 or 3 minutes, they will come to the top. I tend to leave mine in, and the reason why I leave them in is because if I only have one portion of this and there's a spare portion, we put it in the freezer, and then when we want to eat that again, take it out of the freezer, cook it. When you cook it, those whole spices will release more flavour into the curry. And that's one of the reasons why you get people say, oh, I've had a chilli curry and I put it in the freezer, and when I got out of the freezer and ate it, it was twice as hot. And that's one of the reasons. You're cooking even more of the heat out of those chilies. So we're going to leave those in. I basically say to someone, if you find a cardamom pod, they're extremely lucky. Put the lottery on. Right, so let's serve this up. Heat off. You can now decorate this. A little bit of cream over the top. We're going to chop a little bit of coriander. Be really fancy. Take a nice wedge of lemon, cut it down the middle, and pop it on there nicely like that. And there we have a beautiful, extremely tasty butter chicken, or murgh Makani if you want to impress your friends. So I'll have a quick taste. Quick taste of the sauce. The chicken will be lovely and succulent, I know it will be. It's just got a lip smacking taste that you just want to go back in for more and more. Once you've started, you just don't want to stop. It's about controlling the butter and the cream. You control the butter and the cream. Don't add too much to your tastes, then it won't get sickly. If you add far too much butter and far too much cream, it will become a little bit sickly. That for me is perfect. I'll probably end up having some of this now. And that's about it. Try it. Let me know how you get on. Comment below the video. Would be absolutely fantastic if you can give it a like and a thumbs up. And if you can subscribe to the channel, even better. I've got loads more coming for you. Don't forget, we do takeout foods, so curries, burgers, Philly cheesesteaks, pizzas. We do some amazing pizzas, and we're going to get all them on video this year for you. So stick around. If you really like this butter chicken, share it on all your Facebook groups. Let people know that this is the go-to butter chicken. Okay, so this is me, Derek, from Cook It Yourself. Catch you next time.